Have you ever been in a situation where you're being called to a higher level of grace, integrity? Has it been easy for you to deal with confrontational people, people that are hard to love? Well, it's really easy. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm just a very forgiving person. I can forgive." But, we can forgive the lovable. But what about the people that present themselves in our lives as truly wanting to hurt you? That they come across as being loving or kind, but their ulterior motive is to get you sucked into their world, get you to really like them, and then all of a sudden, they show you their true colors. How do you love your enemies? Now, loving your enemies is a very countercultural thing to do because we're supposed to hate our enemies, but that's not what scripture tells us. So today we're going to be talking about how can we love our enemies, not in the way that we bring them back to trust them, but in a way that it will set you free. So today I'll be your teacher in the classroom, and we're going to be discussing what are the steps? What are the things you can do? Some of the things I've done in the past, because, you know, as lovable as you are, there are people who do not want to love you back. And so today I want you to get your paper, pencils, whatever it is that you like to write, because we're going to learn and grow together. So let's get ready. It's time to grow.
And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Hi, my name is Lilly McDermott, and I am a certified life coach, a certified holistic cancer coach, and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show Classroom. If this is your first time in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Well, just recently, I have experienced a situation where the person that called themselves a friend showed themselves to me in many ways. There have been other times where people show themselves as my friend, but they have an ulterior motive. Now, I've said to you that, you know, what harm is caused to you, God will bless it in your life. So what they intend for harm, God intends for good. So immediately when you're going through something where someone hurts you, maybe it's a separation, a divorce, a loss of a friendship, whatever it is, we've got to step back and say, okay, what are the gifts and lessons? What did I learn from this relationship? What did I benefit? What are some of the things I will never repeat? What are the ways that I can release this person from my body so that they don't continue to hurt me over and over again? It is not something that the world tells you to do, but it's something that I am saying that unless you do it, I will face potential disease in my lifetime, in the time that I'm on this earth. So why not start the process of letting it go, letting the flow get you to a place where you see these people that were meant to hurt you, that God will use them to bring you to that next level of excellence in your life, that next level of understanding compassion, that next level of forgiveness, that next level of your higher self, which I tell you, I could not do unless I was accountable to a higher power than me. And that is God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. That's who I call my higher power. But if you believe in God, we have that in common. If you are an atheist, then God is love, so we have that in common. So let's find our commonalities as we enter into this very uncomfortable conversation that was requested by a viewer. And so I'm doing a class on it. And this is for you. You know who you are. So today I want to start setting the tone. What are some of the things I've done? But I'm not the end all be all. There are other people out there that are experts that will help you go through this, whether it's through coaching. But what I want to avoid is that when you go through a difficult situation and you're sad about it, that if you go to a doctor, they don't label you as depressed. You have to be very careful with these labels. Psychiatrists are the only medical profession that can diagnose and give you a diagnosis without the proper screening. So always keep that in mind that sometimes we're just sad. Sometimes we're sad of the loss that this happened to us, and darn it, I was so stupid. And that's what we go through. We hurt ourselves over and over again because of something that happened that you didn't see coming. Perhaps maybe it wasn't beyond your control. Perhaps you thought, oh, they'll do this to other people, but they won't do it to me. Trust me, if you have a friend, or if you know someone, or if you are in the dating process right now, and the person that you are in relationship with talks really nasty to their mother or their father or their friends, or talks to you about gossip about people, just know that eventually you will be the topic of their conversation. I know it's hard for me to believe that too, but at my age, right now, I've lived it. I've seen it. I've read it. I've learned about it. And as I've quoted my mother in the past, my mom would always tell me, El que lleva, trae. Whoever takes whoever brings will take. So if you have a friend that's always gossiping with you, just know you will be, if you reply to any of what they're saying, they'll go out and say, so and so said this about this, and so said this about you. So be very careful who you have in your inner circle. That doesn't mean you can be you don't have to be friendly towards people that are that way. Be as friendly. You know that saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So today we're going to be talking about how do we keep our enemies closer so that they do not destroy our inner self. Know that this person is accountable for their behavior, and you are accountable for your response to their behavior. Yes, you can retaliate, but what if it's not about retaliation? Maybe it's about wishing them well, wishing them to go on their way so they can hurt you no more. It's not about retaliation. It's about what can I do to learn from this situation and bless them. Let them go on their way. There's a story that I remember hearing that I believe came from a factual event, which was a boy that killed another young boy. And the mother of the child that was killed was at um, the court hearing and was there every day. And this was her only son that was murdered by this young man. And so the first time she saw him, she said, I am going to kill you. But when you have that desire to wish that on somebody else, eventually that will consume you. And yes, I can imagine not wanting to kill the person who killed your child. I can't imagine. However, it is God's grace that allows you to get through these things so that eventually this woman, because she needed to forgive, she needed to release, she needed to let go of the anger that she felt for this young man, she started visiting him in prison. And I'm sure at first that conversation was difficult. But as time went on, they looked forward to seeing each other. And as time went on, many years went down the road. This young man, who was in prison for killing the woman's son, would be released. And guess who became the guardian of this young man? It was the woman, the mother of whom he killed the son, the young boy. It was the mother of the young boy he killed. That kind of forgiveness and loving your enemy is at an incredible level. It gives me chills just knowing that there's a person out there that can do that. And we know that God will help us do things that we never thought we could do. So I don't put it outside of the realm of our life when this woman who wanted to kill this young man turned it around and said, "Remember when I told you that I wanted to kill you?" And it was through her kindness that the evil in this young man was killed. It was killed with her kindness, by her loving visits, by her tender care, because this young man didn't have that growing up, and she became it. Now, call it a story, call it a fairy tale, call it whatever you want, but we could all strive for that, can't we? We could all strive for it. We understand that whenever we're in a place where we allow anger, hate, resentment to brew in us, we lose all of our ability to self-heal. And this woman, she declared it, "I am going to kill you." And she did. She killed his ego. She killed the evil that was in this young man. And because of her kindness, her undeserved mercy, he was able to heal too, the murderer of her son. That could only happen through the grace of God. Because the world tells us, kill him back, hurt him, don't give him the time of day, ignore them, don't block them, block them, don't listen to what they have to say. Oh, they're less than you. They're less than you. But are they? Can we throw some compassion in a very difficult moment? So that was a story that I wanted to start with to help you understand that there are people out there that have seen worse than we will ever see and still have been able to forgive. So I ask that you join me in this because I am learning with you. I am learning by some of the things that have happened in my life to be able to take that person, maybe not your enemy, maybe they unintentionally hurt you, but they're not owning up to it. And instead of facing you, they're hiding from you. And you have to do the work yourself. You get to do the work yourself. So just because somebody is in your circle or someone is in your life, that doesn't mean you have to let them in. That's true. But it's how you feel about that person that will control every cell in your body. Every time you think of their name, something happens to you at a molecular level, at a cellular level, that is keeping you from the healing that you need. So, because of this letter I received, I thought it is time to love our enemies as we love ourselves. So hard to do, right? But in Ephesians 4:23, it says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgive each other, for God has forgiven us." Can you imagine what our life would be like if we ourselves were not forgiven? He who is free of sin, let them cast the first stone. And that is a quote from Jesus as they were bringing this adulterous woman, not the adulterous men, but the adulterous woman to be stoned. But Jesus knelt down and he started writing things on the sand. Some people say that he was writing names, that he was writing things that were addressing that each individual who was there to stone the woman, their own conscience. So I want to be forgiven. So it might be difficult to forgive our enemies or people who say they loved us but hurt us. Maybe they're not our enemies, but then they become it in our mind. They become that person who was there to hurt us. They become that person that keeps us from growing and loving and living life to the fullest. And yes, I gave you a very difficult moment in somebody's life where they were able to forgive the murderer of their child. But what would you do in a situation that you were the one that did something wrong? Wouldn't you want to be loved, to be given, because we don't know what we don't know. And some people are growing up in this world without love, without compassion, with only judgment. And that's all they spew out. They just want to spew out the same old junk that went in. They want to spew it out. And hopefully, we can start praying for these people who eventually hurt you or that have hurt you. So if you're in a situation right now and a name keeps coming to mind, write their name down because it's time to do the work. It's time to set yourself free. And even if it's uncomfortable, and even if at first you're gritting your teeth, wishing them well, at least it's a start. But if you say to me, I'm not ready to forgive, I'm not ready to be kind to my enemies, I'm not ready, then I would say to you, then you're not ready to set yourself free because it really at this point has nothing to do with your enemy. It has everything to do with the enemy within you, within me. So yes, we're talking about being kind to your enemies, keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. That doesn't mean you condone their behavior. That doesn't mean that you bring them into your life and you trust them. That doesn't mean any of that. It just means that when you think of them or when they're around you, it doesn't bring you to that place of discontentment or discord within your body. You are neutral. You wish them well. They do not take away your peace. Can you do that? But most importantly, if you can't do it right now, are you willing to start doing it? Are you willing to start the process of being kind to your enemies? That compassion in Ephesians 4:23. Be kind and compassionate. Can you do that? Even if they are not, can you do it? And the answer to it should be a resounding yes. I can be kind to them. I don't have to wish them harm. I can wish them blessings, which is the story of my transformation. And of course, this is a story of forgiveness, but we're really talking about that transformation that went in my heart. They were not my enemy. They were someone I loved. And how do you divorce something or someone that you love? You can't. Family, friends that are, maybe it was something that it was a bad time in their life and you got the brunt of it. You can hold on to it. You can relive it over and over again, or you can determine that it's time to just let it go. Learn from the experience so that it happens no more. So an enemy is an adversary, someone who's there poking you in the eye, but not in a good way, like I used to say about Dr. Lorraine Day. I used to poke her in the eye, she used to poke me in the eye, and we would laugh because we knew that we were raising each other up to that next level. But an enemy wants to see you suffer. An enemy rejoices, laughs when something harmful happens to you. But do you want to become like them? Do you want to become like them? I have been accused by so many people, and these accusations, like on Facebook or whatever, the people that are accusing me are doing exactly what they're telling me I'm doing. And I'm thinking, gosh, do they not see it? And they're probably going, gosh, does she not see it? But the reality is that my intention is to let you deal with you, and I will deal with me. If you are upset about something, about a choice in my life, and it's something that um, is not the norm in society. Like the norm now is to free love, free sex, love whatever you want. You can love a man if you're a man, you can love a woman and a man at the same time, or a goat. Who cares? But if I don't choose to participate in that, if I don't choose to participate in pornography, or if I don't choose to participate in that kind of violence to a child, I don't want to be told that something's wrong with me. No, I don't want to comply to somebody's immoral behavior. It may not be immoral to them, but I need to make a judgment for myself. I am not judging their life. They can do whatever they want. They're not accountable to me. They're accountable to God. But for me, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to judge that for me, that I choose not to partake or comply, that everybody is able to do that, including me. That's not who I am. So therefore, I don't want to be a part of that. So there's a lot of the stuff that's happening in the world today. And so all of a sudden, if you do not comply, then I'm the enemy. Well, that's their problem. There are certain things that I must judge for myself that I will or will not do. But if an enemy becomes an enemy, or if a person becomes an enemy because they want you to comply and all of a sudden they're just going to hurt you, that's on them. That is on them. We got to be true to who we say we are. Kindness and saying hello, being polite, that doesn't mean you have to bring them back in your life. Kindness is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of an intentional choice rooted in strength. Being kind versus being rude and mean, and I'm not going to look at you, and I'm going to treat you just like you treated me. Then who is the one who's the enemy? Love your enemies as you love yourself. Love your enemies. Love your neighbors as you love yourself. So there's so many different ways that you can be aware of your intention. My intention is not to hurt the other person. My intention is to protect myself, maybe have some boundaries and say, you can do whatever it is that you want to do, but it's not going to be a part of my life. And if that person is still not happy about that and they want to hurt you, then you continue to be who you are. There's so many people that want to get that approval from someone that really shouldn't matter in your life. Your enemies. Your enemies are people that are getting you to that next level. So if you don't set your boundaries and say, that's it, I'm just not going to respond at this point and have an argument with you. There's no point. There's no point to have an argument. All you can do is just let it go and deal with your own emotions through journaling with God. Ask God to help you release this person from within you so that it doesn't consume you. There are costs that go beyond our the experience that we had. There are costs with our health that, like holding grudges and all those things that keep us from that total health, spirit, mind, and body. Holding a grudge, I'm never going to talk to them. That doesn't mean you have to bring them into your love circle. You can forgive them and love them from afar. But when you recall their name, that it doesn't pierce your heart or your gut every time. Oh, I wish him harm. If you find yourself, oh, F that and screw you and all the different words that everybody uses, like there's no tomorrow, just whatever language to express. And the more foul-mouthed you are, to me, the lower your IQ is. Now, it could be that that's how you grew up and that's the way you grew up in life and the language that you're using is fine, but just know that you can say the same thing, be more impactful and not need to use F-bombs and and G words and all these things that are causing your spirit to hurt and to malfunction. Choosing peace over being right. So if somebody is your enemy, someone has sworn, your sworn enemy, they're saying they just want to cause you harm. The moment you feel the same way they do about them, you're no different than them. Got to protect that who you are within. And I know that I'm kind of repeating this, but sometimes we have to hear the things over and over and over again for them to really sink in to who you are. Notice how you feel when you think about a certain person. And and it doesn't have to be an enemy. It could be someone who harmed you. Because people who harm you sometimes harm you intentionally, and other times it's unintentional. They didn't mean to hurt you. How do you resolve that? Do you have a conversation with a person? And is that person worthy of trust to bring them back into your life? And those are all conversations that you need to have on your own. And those are conversations that you need to have with you, the you and the God in you, you and you. So you can have compassion, but that doesn't mean that you have to compromise. Like I said, if somebody's out there saying that you can have, open freely, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, there are no boundaries to sex, there's no boundaries to female, male, a man can have a baby, a female can have, those are all things that are being forced onto us through social media. And if we have a different moral compass, we're the villain. And so in a situation like that, don't look at their posts, don't need to comment on their pages, just let them be. But you don't become it. You don't become it. Because at the moment that you're wishing that other person harm, you are no different than the person who's your enemy. I don't care if it's justified on your part or my part. Oh, yeah, I'm allowed to hate them because they're my enemy. No, love your enemies, but not in a way that we consider love. I'm saying that you can love someone from afar, wish them well, wish them peace, love, joy, unexpected abundance, which are the way that those desires for somebody else was how I was able to forgive when it was really difficult to forgive. It's easy for me to forgive and move on. But this was the hardest time. It was the hardest time for me because it took me longer than a 24-hour period. It took me longer where I couldn't sleep at night. And these are the symptoms of when there's turmoil. And what do? We go to the doctor and we say, "Hey, doctor, I can't sleep at night." Well, here's a pill to go to sleep. And you're not dealing with the root cause. Could there be something in your life that is causing the problem? That you're unwilling to look at. And it could be resentment, grudges, and the hate for someone who hurt you. And ultimately, the person who hurt you or someone you love is accountable to God, not to you. So all you can do is deal with the situation as best you can. So some of the ways that you can deal with the situation is through prayer, through wishing them love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Pray for your enemies. Wish them well. Wish them peace. Wish them that they will soften their heart. Thank God for that. You don't have to keep praying for the same thing over and over, because once you pray for it once, then all you have to do is thank God that God is making the change in their heart. I cannot do it. I cannot do the change for them. I can only change for me. It's amazing how many people come into my coaching calls saying, I want you to fix my husband. I want you to fix my wife. I want you to fix my children. And I say, whoa, bring them, because I can only work with the person who shows up. And that may not be what they want to hear. They may want to hear, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Yes, let's work together to change a person who's not here. How insane is that? But I can help you deal with the emotions. I can help you deal with that spouse. I can help you deal with whatever circumstance and help you maybe make a decision to walk away or love yourself in a different way or, fill in the blank. The answer is not fixing the other person. The answer might be accepting who the other person is and not making a big deal over the other person. But we want everybody. We see the world the way we see ourselves, but we don't want to call ourselves out on it. So we see the evil in the world, we see the anger, the bitterness, the judgment, and all that. And then what comes out of us, if we were to do that, is we're lashing out and we're doing the exact same thing that they're accusing people of. Just sit with it. Sometimes I have to sit with things too. Or actually, I sit and look at myself over and over and over. I know that I am not perfect. I am a sinner. And if I know that I'm causing someone pain, it is time for me. Just recently, my husband and I spoke, and he was telling me that my reactions weren't normal. And you know what? Deep down inside, I knew that my reactions were not normal. I just thought it was justified. It was during a time that I had a lot of stress. I was planning the event and all these things were like all the deadlines and everything that I was going through were just piling up. But when it was all said and done, the behavior continued. Now, I am a very slow person to anger. I am a very slow person to disregard somebody. I will work with somebody. I will have discussions with people. I will have a come to Jesus moment where we clear the air out. I don't have a problem with that. But when my husband came to me and said, what's going on? I've noticed that this is how you've been reacting, and, it's not like you to do something like that. I could have said, screw you. Who do you think you are? God? I could have done that. Instead, I said, you're right. I haven't liked how I've reacted. I've been short-tempered, and I'm sorry. That was not my intention. Now, the conversation was a little bit longer. I'm giving you the abbreviated version of it. I'm sure my husband will love hearing this when he listens to the classroom. But it was true. I needed to look within myself and say, what's going on? Is it hormonal? Is it stress? Is it that I'm not dealing with something else and I'm just taking it out on the one I love the most? Those are the conversations that we can have. And that doesn't mean I'm weak. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. It means that I get to improve. I get to work at something to improve who I am. I get to increase my love and my patience and for myself, because I am not perfect. And if somebody's holding me to perfection, that's on you. If you're disappointed, that's on you. Now, if we discuss it and we discuss why, what's going on, and we have a mutual understanding and come to a place where we can say, okay, I'm willing to do this and you're willing to do that. But there are cases when they're your enemies, because there are a lot of people that I know want to see me fail, but they come to me and they go, hey, how are you doing? Oh, what's going on with you? I missed you in such a thing. And it happens. I can say, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking. I'll say, I'm fine. How are you? I'm great. Thank you. Does that mean I'm going to take them home and have dinner with them? No, it just means that I am not going to let them control me. If whoever they are, whatever they do, that they're accountable to a higher power. So know your boundaries, pray, and once you give it to God, thank God for the blessing. Thank God that they are working, that He is working on your behalf, that God is working on your behalf. Know that the moment you give it to God, because I don't know if you're a parent and your kid goes, Mommy, can I have this? Yes, in a little bit. Mommy, can I have this? Yeah, it's not the right time. Mommy, I wanted this. Mommy, I want it. I want it. You're like, enough already. I already said I was going to give it to you. Why do you keep asking me? Just be patient. That's what I would say if I were God. But God is patient and kind no matter how many times we ask. I can just imagine God going, oh my goodness, aren't you going to trust that I'm going to give you the best for you? You asked once, you asked 10 times, you asked 100 times. How about if you say thank you? Thank you, Lord, because I know that you're working things out for my good. I know that you're softening the heart of my enemy. Lord, thank you. I am so grateful that I no longer have to ask you to do this because I know that you are doing it. Not on my time, Lord, but yours. Not on my time. And I am willing to be patient and see it through. But Lord, release any animosity, any anger, or anything that is brewing within me. Help me release it so I don't become like the person who calls themselves my enemy. So establish boundaries and refuse to demoralize the other person. The story that I told you at the beginning is the story of a woman who had every reason to say, I hate that boy. I hope he rots in hell and that he will never see the light of a sky. Instead, she visited him and she loved on him. And she learned things about this young man that softened her heart. He didn't have the mother that she was. So we're in choice. We're always in choice. And I hope that you choose to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. When you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, please subscribe to the website. Make sure you know that there's going to be an email sent to you and you opt in and you say, yes, that is what I want to do. I want to be part of the classroom. I want to put my thumbprint in the classroom and I want to be a part of it. So please subscribe to my website, like and follow me on all social media, including BitChute and YouTube. Share this video with your friends. Share this video with your enemies. Share this video with someone that tells you I'm having a difficult time forgiving. Because ultimately, it will come back to us. We are the only ones we can control our behavior, our thought, all these things. And whenever you're having these thoughts and you're like wishing them harm, oh my goodness, I am becoming my enemy. So immediately You shift that thought to say, I bless them. You know what, Lord? Maybe they didn't have what I had growing up, that you taught me a certain way and they did not. So bless them, Lord. Let them be free, soften their hearts. So when you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, the buck stops with us. And so go check out the Lily approved products. Especially, I'm loving um, my Vision Body, my watch, all the things that are Lily approved products. And if you want to use some of these products, just know I am 100% behind the products. And last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. It is difficult to do this classroom. It is becoming more and more expensive. And so I'm asking that you help. Give up one of your lattes, give up one of, $5, $1, whatever it is, send it to the classroom. There's a donor vote button. Actually, there's a donor button in the description below. So please consider donating of your time, your talent, your treasure. Like I said, sharing this video is a way, or making a comment, putting an emoji, is a way for you to help the classroom grow. Because when you do that, the algorithms can't affect us and this information comes out. There's so much hate in the world. There's so much, I'm going to hurt you if you hurt me. And I'm not necessarily saying turn the other cheek, but I'm saying don't let the person that hurts you keep you from being kind and merciful. Don't let them take that from you. So today we're talking about being kind to your enemies. If anything I've said so far you can relate to, put it down below. Send me an email at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. If you want to be a part of the conversation, or if you want to be, if you have a question for me, or if you have a pain or something in your journey that you would need someone to help you through, just send me a topic. Let me know what's going on in your life. I would love to help you grow. So I talked about all the different things, and please go back and listen to this class over and over and over again. And one of the things I said was sit with God, journal, pray, thank God for wisdom, whatever it is, just sit and write and listen and say, why am I so hurt by this person? Why is this person hurting me so much? What is the fear in me? What did this person attack? What did they attack? Did they attack my need to control? Did they attack my fear of being exposed, or fear of of losing control? So the first one is fear of losing control. The second one is fear of being exposed. Because if somebody says something nasty about you and you think, oh my gosh, how dare they? How dare they say something like that? The next question is it true? Is it true that you're such and such? Is it true that you are not someone that can be trustworthy or trust? Is it true? And if the answer is no, that's not true, be honest with yourself, because maybe you know that you're not being trustworthy. And that exposure created an enemy of someone that shouldn't be your enemy. It should be someone who was trying to help, and perhaps maybe that conversation needs to happen. But that fear of being exposed, or is it the fear of being irrelevant? Maybe somebody wants your job. And just recently I joined a group, and depending on what I wanted to promote, there were other people that wouldn't let me promote it. Well, is it time for me to move on from the group? Is it time for me to find something else, create a group? I don't fault them, but I would say that I don't belong in the group. If I can't do some of the simple things that I do in my life, and it's a networking group, then I guess I'm not going to be a part of the group, because there are other people that are already there. That doesn't make them my enemy. It just makes it it is what it is. God doesn't want me there. And that's okay too. So as we look at ourselves and we look at some of the things, the definition of what an enemy is, be careful with that definition though. You don't want to make everybody your enemy. And if they are your enemy, then it's time for you to do the growth part of it. Recognize kindness, recognize boundaries, recognize how it's causing you to hurt your body because you're unwilling to give up a grudge. I have to tell you, I think I've said this before, but when my grandmother passed away, my mom and my uncle, her brother, did not speak for over 20 years. Over 20 years of an argument that happened when my grandmother passed away. Nobody came back to talk to one another. Nobody. Nobody. Neither one. He passed away, and my mom has dementia. So there's sometimes, I'm not saying that this, whatever incident caused a dementia, but my mom's unwillingness to resolve the issue may have contributed to her, I don't want to talk about him. I don't even want to remember him. Well, when you don't want to remember something, then your brain is not going to discriminate what you want to remember, what you don't want to remember. Clear it out of your system. Clear it out of your system. So there's so many different ways that we can practice this mindful action of forgiveness or being kind. And being kind, I've talked about praying for the person that you consider your enemy. Refuse to dehumanize them and say, oh, they're no good. They're no good for anything. And I'm better than them. So therefore, I'm not going to talk to them. Pray to God about them and ask God for wisdom and guidance. And if you need to ask for that guidance, today I'm going to see this person. Lord, protect me. Thank you for your protection. Help me be kind so that I'm not, I don't become like the enemy that I am so hurt by or don't want to be like. Bless instead of retaliate. Release the story. Release the story in your head. How do you release that story? You go to that 4 questions of 100% responsibility that I've always honored on my website, the 4 questions that I learned when I was going through my own personal growth and as a coach. Those 4 questions, I did not create those 4 questions, but those questions have become a part of my life. How did I create it? What are the gifts and lessons? What's going to be different? And how am I going to use what I learned for the greater good? And when you put all that together, there's always a blessing in the end for you. Just look for it and you will find it. So release the story. Now, when I tell a story of someone who harmed me, I can tell you the story of how I grew because of that. They were my teachers of what not to do and how to persevere regardless of their lack of approval, regardless of their wanting me to be hurt. Regardless, I'm going to continue living my life regardless. And they're not going to steal my joy. I'm going to have control over that. I'm not going to give it to them. And forgiveness, and I've talked about forgiveness. I've done lots of classes on forgiveness, and I would be failing you if I didn't bring up forgiveness and the importance of forgiveness. I shared that story at the beginning of the class, and if you're just joining us now, please take it a point to listen to the story at the beginning. But forgiveness is something that we must do every day, every hour, every minute, until you truly forgive. Now, again, I have to say that forgiveness and trust are not the same. You can forgive somebody and not need to put them into your life. They don't have to be a part of your life. But when you forgive someone, you don't have to trust them. You just don't have to trust them. You can love them from afar. You can pray for them from afar. Forgiveness and trust. Trust is something they earn. Forgiveness is for you, and trust is something they must earn. So please don't make those two different words the same. Then, like I said, the moment you start hating your enemy, you become your enemy. And is that what you want? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think any of us want that. And again, I want to remind you of the be kind to one another, be tender-hearted, and forgive those as God forgives you. Those are such importance, and that's Ephesians 4:32. 4:32. Be kind and compassionate. This is the NIV version, by the way. So be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other as God has forgiven you. So let's talk about the fact that we're all sinners. Wouldn't you want to be forgiven? Would you want to be released from it? Not condoned. It's not condoning. When you forgive others, that action comes back to you. When you curse others, that curse will come back to you. When you bless others, that blessing will come on to you. Now, this is not a mathematical equation, but which one would you choose? Number one, number two, number three? You're in choice. You're always in choice. You can choose whatever you want. Truly, you can choose whatever you want. You can start these practices today and say, you know what? I really need to forgive my neighbor. I need to forgive my parents who were not there. I need to stop looking at this person as my enemy. They want what I have or want what I've done, and you know, all you can do is move on. Move on and create what you want somewhere else. An enemy is someone that, for some reason, if you call them an enemy, they're your sworn nemesis, they're your kryptonite, or they are the person who wants to harm you. First of all, if it's that bad that you need to call the police, call the police. You know, you don't need to be hurt by anybody. If it's something that is in your mind because they hurt you, that enemy that is in your mind, how long will you allow them to live in your head rent free? So use your power to release this person. Do whatever you can to start the process, to set you free. Because if it were me, I would want to be forgiven. Because I know that I've done things. I was talking to Robert the other night, and I was saying, you know, I was learning about this, and I started thinking, and it was a scripture verse in Haggai, and I was just thinking about that scripture verse, and I thought, you know, I don't think I've dealt with that in the way that I dealt with it just recently. Because finding out that you have a flaw is not the worst thing that could happen to you. I would think that the worst thing that could happen would be that even if people told you that you have a flaw, that you ignore it, that you choose not to do something different or change the way you're looking at it. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And if enough people are saying, you know, and I know that this is a new diagnosis that's out there. It's, oh, you're a narcissist. You're a narcissist. You're a narcissist. You know what? When I am getting to know somebody and they are diagnosing everybody as narcissist, look out. They're a narcissist. Just walk away. walk away, because narcissists can be very charming at the beginning, but they are only there to take. And when they suck the blood out of you like a leech does, they dump the carcass. Trust me on this one. So when you hear somebody that is saying these things about other people, I'm not saying diagnose them or judge them. I'm just saying beware. You're next. Beware. I love that lesson. I love that lesson. It was hard and painful, but I love the lesson. But I still choose to love. I still choose to be a part of my life and release whatever anger, disappointment, or realizing that we're all flawed. As a matter of fact, if you open the Bible, you will see stories of a bunch of flawed people, with the exception of Jesus Christ, who was unblemished, who was true to who he said he was. And here we are, 2,000 plus years later. He is still the example by which we should strive for, not social media, not the people in your neighborhood, not the people that send you likes and are popular. God. Ultimately, we're accountable to God. And let that be your resting spot, that I'm not going to cause harm to my enemy, because what I put out in the universe comes back to me. I'm going to bless my enemies because I want blessing. And I want God to forgive me when I do something that someone would deem unforgivable. So, what do you want? You want to hold on to the story, or find the beauty and release it and say thank you? Thank you for my enemies, because they've taught me how to love more. Thank you for my enemies, because I realized there were parts of me that were a little crusty. And because of it, I learned that I could do much more than I thought I could. Trust the process, trust your God, and God will see you through. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.